Oh, today's passage, today's scripture today. Motel 6 church today. Isaiah 49, verses 1 through 7. Listen to me, all you in distant lands. Pay attention, you who are far away. The Lord called me before my birth. From within the womb he called me by name. He made my words of judgment as sharp as a sword. He has hidden me in the shadow of his hand. I am like a sharp arrow in his quiver. He said to me, you are my servant, Israel, and you will bring me glory. I replied, but my work seems so useless. I have spent my strength for nothing and to no purpose. Yet I leave it all in the Lord's hand. I will trust God for my reward. And now the Lord speaks. The one who formed me in my mother's womb to be a servant, who commissioned me to bring Israel back to him. The Lord has honored me, and my God has given me strength. He says, you will do more than restore the people of Israel to me. I will make you a light to the Gentiles, and you will bring my salvation to the ends of the earth. The Lord, the Redeemer and Holy One of Israel, says to the one who is despised and rejected by the nations, to the one who is the servant of rulers, kings will stand at attention when you pass by. Princes will also bow low because of the Lord, the faithful one, the Holy One of Israel, who has chosen you. Prophet Isaiah, reading from one of his prophecies that are just so powerful. Yes, I saw the light. If you spend any amount of time in the Dump Run Cafe, this little light of mine, those have been staple songs that have been played and sung by the Dump Run Gang through the years and the years. But anyway, the specific one I want to talk about today is I Saw the Light, the first one that we sang. Any idea who wrote that song? Billy Graham, maybe? Billy Graham? Did Billy Graham write I Saw the Light? How about some other traveling evangelist or church leader? That maybe they wrote I Saw the Light. Possibly. Maybe it came from the great days of the tent revivals that were traveling across America back in the day, and all of the enthusiasm and excitement. That's where that song came from, those Christian tent revivals and those preachers, the itinerant preachers. Or maybe it was more modern. Maybe the Gaithers wrote it, right? Maybe if you've watched the Gaithers at all in their endless videos, you'll see that song pop up every once in a while. Or maybe, I don't know, the Statler Brothers or some other gospel band. Maybe they wrote it. Well, they're all a big nope, because none of them wrote that song. The gospel song, I Saw the Light, was written by none other than Hank Williams Sr. Hank Williams Sr., not exactly the guy you would expect to write a song like that, if you know anything about Hank Williams Sr. And I'm not talking about Hammering Hank. That would be the baseball legend Hank Aaron, who is really good with the bat, and he could really pound the ball. That's Hammering Hank. But Hank Williams Sr. is different. I think Hank Williams Sr. is not Hammering Hank. Maybe he's better known for being Hammered Hank, because he was well known for his drinking, as he was his country music, especially with songs like There's a Tear in My Beer. Remember that song? That was Hank. And others. Anyway, I Saw the Light. He wrote the song. He was inspired to write the song in January of 1947. He was returning from a show in Fort Deposit, Alabama, wherever that is. And his mother, Lily, was driving him and the band back to Montgomery that night. And as she was approaching the city of Montgomery, she spotted the lights of the airport that were in the city. And Williams, who slept, he was inebriated in the back seat of his car, like he was often. Unfortunately, it's sad. But he was roused by his mother, who told him, I just saw the light. Because she saw the airport and excited to get home to Montgomery, announcing that they were close to the town that they lived in, that they loved. And it was because of that moment, that kind of inspired him to write the first draft on January 26, 1947. Well, Hank Williams' biographer, Colin Escott, he wrote this. He said, that song was the prayer of the backslider who lives in hope of redemption. And if you recall the words when we just sang it, I wandered so aimless, life filled with sin. I mean, think about Hank Williams when you hear this song. I wouldn't let my dear Savior in. Then Jesus came like a stranger in the night. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. And the song goes on. Just like a blind man, I wandered along. Worries and fears I claimed for my own. Then like the blind man that God gave back his sight. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. That's Hank Williams wrote that. Hank Williams. And many Christians in Hank Williams' day would dismiss such a song as inconsequential. You know, oh boy, there goes Hank. Hank couldn't possibly be someone who has really seen the light. I mean, look at him. Look how he lives his life. I mean, there's no way that Hank could be someone that has really seen the light. If he did see the light, then he obviously, they would say, would be different. His life would look much differently than it actually does, and he would live it much differently than he did. And I'm sure that if pressed, those people that would say that would have said that Hank's life should have looked a whole lot more like their own lives if he was truly meaning that song that he actually did write. As many of the people of the faith, unfortunately, love to lift up their own selves as a model of good behavior. But Jesus didn't come for those that were well, did he? Jesus came for who? Jesus came for the sick, right? Jesus came for those that need him and that recognize their need for him. That's who Jesus came for. He came for people like Hank and the rest of us. Many would say that our text today is a prophecy of Jesus' coming. It was written by the prophet Isaiah in about the 6th century BC, looking forward to the coming Messiah. Verse 6 of the text really says it all right here, and you'll recognize these words in the words of Simeon that we read in the beginning of the service today. Verse 6, he says, "You will do more than restore the people of Israel to me. I will make you a light to the Gentiles, and you will bring my salvation to the ends of the earth." You know, whether this actually does point to the Messiah or not through Isaiah is debatable, but what is not debatable in my mind is that people like Hank Williams can, in fact, see the light. Even if it doesn't dramatically change their lives like we would expect their lives to change. Seeing the light, in quotes, or what that really means is what? Experiencing the presence of Christ in your life, perhaps for the first time, or a renewed experience of the presence of Christ in your life. Seeing the light does not automatically, unfortunately, it does not automatically remove all the problems in our lives. If you've ever known someone who has come to faith and they're very excited about it, sometimes they are convinced that they have found the answer to everything in their lives, and now all of their problems are going to go away. And, you know, a loving and caring believer will say, I am excited for you that you have found Christ, and it is wonderfully exciting. And that loving, caring believer will be there for them when they realize that, lo and behold, even though they have seen the light and they do have a faith, well, their problems are still going to be there, you know, when the excitement kind of dies off a little bit. And that loving friend will be there with them through that. So although it is often the hope and the expectation of people who see the light that all their problems go away, Hank actually hoped this, I think, when he wrote the song. I saw the light, no more darkness, no more night. I mean, now I'm so happy, no sorrow in sight. And this, picture Hank Williams singing this and writing this song, praise the Lord, I saw the light. Maybe he thought that this was the thing, the moment, the experience that was going to change him. Maybe he thought that. But alas, people are in fact human after all. And much of our humanness follows us all the way through our lives. All the way through. You see, for Hank, years of back pain and alcoholism and prescription drug abuse, it severely compromised his health. In 1952, he was dismissed by the Grand Ole Opry. They kicked him out because of his unreliability and his alcoholism. And this was well after he wrote this song, well after he had an experience with God. And on New Year's Day, 1953, he suffered from heart failure and died suddenly at the age of 29. 29 years old. Yes, 29. But thank God he saw the light. Thank God he saw the light. Well, he didn't see the light. Look at how he died. Look at his life. Yeah, well, if we're all ready to be judges, I think Jesus has something to say about that. Judge not, lest you be judged yourself. I don't think the people that would say that Hank's lifestyle showed that he never saw the light, I don't think that these people understand their own sin, especially the sin of pride. As the Apostle Paul said so well, he said, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. By the way, Hank Williams Jr. is playing at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion this summer. If you want to catch Hank Williams Jr., you like Hank Williams Jr. He's been around for a long time. You have all his records? He's kind of a wild guy in his day. Yeah, but anyway, he's pretty good. I've got a couple of his records too, actually. But he'll be there this summer, right in our backyard if you want to go. Verse 6 again, he says, you will do more than restore the people of Israel to me. I will make you a light to the Gentiles, and you will bring my salvation to the ends of the earth. I think Isaiah was talking about the nation Israel here. But from the nation of Israel, Jesus came. And Jesus is that light. And that light is the light of our lives. And that light makes us the lighthouse of Christ. What we do in our lives is we hold up this light that's inside of us. When you see the light, it becomes a part of you. And you hold it up for all to see, just like a lighthouse. And that's what lighthouses do. We've all been to lighthouses. We've seen them. We've admired them and enjoyed them. And have some of them, many of them actually work, and they actually still serve a purpose. One of the best known lighthouses, actually, is the Portland Head Light, which is perched on what place, Laura? Where's Portland Head Light? It is in Cape Elizabeth. Of course, Laura knows this because Laura is our resident lighthouse expert. If you want to know anything about lighthouses, go see Laura. She has visited every single one in the Northeast. In Maine. Okay. Every single Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. She has visited every single lighthouse in Maine, New Hampshire, and I believe there are hundreds of them, if I remember correctly. 67 in Maine, so about maybe 100 of them. So that's a lot of lighthouses to visit. She'll recommend one for you to visit, but if you go to Portland Head Light, it's arguably one of the most photographed lighthouse in the United States. It's just beautiful. It's right there in Portland, and it's a wonderful trip. There's nice walking areas all around it, and you'll enjoy that trip if you can ever get there. But a lighthouse has one function, basically. What is the function of a lighthouse? To be a light in darkness, right? That's the function of a lighthouse. Yeah, we might think it's just there to look good, and they do look beautiful, but that's not really the function of a lighthouse. It's supposed to be a light in darkness. And, if it can't do that, if a lighthouse can't do what it's supposed to do, it's as useless as a flashlight without batteries. And how many of us have flashlights without batteries in our home? Or nowadays, let's go, how many have flashlights that are not charged in our home? Because everything is charged now, and you have 16,000 things that have wires coming out of them that need to be charged. Yes, Ralph, the phone flashlight is definitely a flashlight. Yeah, although it's not very good. Phone flashlights are not very good. But, a lighthouse cannot do anything but shed light. That's what it's supposed to do. It has no emergency tools. It has no equipment. It has no life vest for the ships coming in. In fact, modern lighthouses are really generally not even inhabited by people. And again, you're not going to find many lighthouses that are 100 miles away from the water or on, soft and comfortable terrain. or surrounded by, calm waters where lighthouses clearly are not needed. Lighthouses, where are they located? They're located usually in what? High-risk danger zones. That's why they're there. No one built them just for lovely aesthetics, although they are beautiful. They built them for a reason, and they put them in places where they will be used and needed, like rocky headlands where every wave threatens to take ships off course to destruction. And if you go to the Maine Rocky Coast and New Hampshire's Rocky Coast, you will see these lighthouses perched in these places where they have served their purpose for many, many years, even hundreds of years. And for that reason, a lighthouse is always a message to a ship's captain. It's a message that the vessel is entering treacherous water. The sole purpose of that lighthouse is to aid in navigation. Sailors need to see the light to avoid danger. And the lighthouse exists to facilitate navigation by broadcasting light in like a sweeping beam across a wide and oftentimes restless sea. If one is able to safely navigate past or through the dangers of the sea that are revealed by the lighthouse, it can mean the preservation of life and property. Verse 1. Pay attention. Listen to me, all you in distant lands. Pay attention, you who are far away. You can see a lighthouse shining a light right here. Look, there is something you need to see. The Lord called me before birth. From within the womb he called me by name. He made my words of judgment as sharp as a sword. He has hidden me in the shadows of his hand. I am like a sharp arrow in his quiver. He said to me, you are my servant Israel, and you will bring me glory. This was written while Israel was not safe at home in their warm houses in Jerusalem. This was not written to Israel as they were enjoying a wonderfully beautiful life in their own land, protected and safe and secure. This was written by Isaiah while Israel was exiled off in Babylon. They had been hauled away, prisoners of war, and stuck in a foreign city named Babylon. And it was a time of darkness, as you can imagine, for the nation. It was a time of defeat. They were a defeated people. They were in captivity, and they were in bondage. And it's from this dark place, that this light begins to shine. And that light that shines eventually shines through Jesus Christ to the whole entire world. And it's a light that shines even to us today. And it's a light that shines through you, because you are the house of God, and we are all called to be lighthouses for Christ. But think about that metaphor. If we're called to be lighthouses for Christ, what does that mean? What does that mean for us? How should we live our lives? Or what should we do to successfully be that lighthouse for Christ? We just celebrated Jesus' birthday. He really wasn't born in December, but that doesn't matter. We're celebrating it anyway, and it's a wonderful thing to celebrate. And we celebrated this birth of someone who said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Yet to say that Jesus is the light of the world is just wishful thinking if we say that, unless Jesus is our light. You see the difference? We can say all day long that Jesus is the light of the world, but we're saying nothing unless Jesus is our own light in our lives. He's got to be ours. He's got to be our light in our salvation first. Unless we have seen the light, like the song says, it doesn't really matter whether the saving power of Jesus extends to the world, does it? Because unless we've seen the light, then none of it matters. If we haven't seen it, then it's pointless to us. We Christians, we acknowledge Jesus as the light of the world, and this is important. But unless that light is powerful in us, it's not shining through us. We know that lighthouses, they keep watch 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They don't get a vacation. A lighthouse light is never switched off. The light keeps rotating on its tower. Every few seconds, it comes around and around and around again. And it's a reminder that Jesus, as our lighthouse, as our light, is not just the light of the world. He's casting a guiding light over us as we journey through this life. Did you ever hear the song, The Lighthouse? I mean, you've heard that song. If you've watched the Gaithers, I mean, boy, you've heard that. You know, it goes like this. It says, I thank God for the lighthouse. I owe my life to him. Jesus is the lighthouse, and from the rocks of sin, he has shone the light around me so that I might clearly see. If it wasn't for the lighthouse, where would this ship be? Right? If it wasn't for that lighthouse, if it wasn't for lighthouses, where would ships be? I mean, especially back in the day before GPS navigation, there would have been so many shipwrecks because they wouldn't have seen if it wasn't for that lighthouse. You know, sailors need to see the light. Christians, we need to be the light. We need to be that light. Jesus made it very clear in the Sermon on the Mount. He said, you are the light of the world. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a basket. But what do they do? If you light a lamp, where do you put it? Down low in a closet? No. You put it up high so people can see. And it gives light to the whole house. And Jesus said in the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see. They may see that light. The truth of these words resonates in the song that we sang first for our praise. Second, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. It's not just a cute song that people sang at Christian camp years ago. I mean, this is a real song. Let it shine. And so we do, and we should. And you know what that means? It means don't turn it off. Don't shut it down. Let it shine. You know, I'm sure Hank Williams Sr., I'm sure he saw the light. Why not? Why didn't he? And he's resting eternally with God in heaven. Unfortunately, Hank did not have the strength to shine that light like he could have on earth, being in the position that he was. You know, the rocky waters of the world busted him all up. He didn't live very long. And they rendered him ineffective and caused his early death. But let his example and the example of so many others inspire you. And the question is, are you off course? Are you off course? Where is your ship headed? Do you even know where your ship is headed? Maybe you have lost sight of the light. Maybe you don't see it anymore. Maybe you've lost sight, and not only are you way off course, you're not shining the light at all to other people because you're so far off course yourself. You're not helping anybody, in their walk with Christ, keeping them on the narrow road too. In short, you don't see the light anymore, and you've turned your light off. And you're trying to fly by your instruments only. Airplane pilots, they're trained to do that. I don't know how they do that stuff, but I would get panicked. Airplane pilots are trained to fly at night by their instruments. That would unnerve me in a second, having to go by these data readouts, and I can't see where I'm going. Oh, it's a nightmare for me. But, airplane pilots can do that, and it works well for them. But flying, without any light doesn't work well for your journey with Christ. It doesn't work well at all. We always need to be focused on that light and also shining that light. Kind of like Motel 6, right? Kind of like Motel 6. Most of us know Motel 6's famous slogan, created by Tom Bodett, right? Tom Bodett, he was a house builder, and also he had a program on NPR. He's a wonderful, wonderful radio voice. No relation to Pat and Roger Bodett, right? No. Are you related to Tom Bodett? No? No, he lives in Vermont. He's not too far away. So, anyway. He's known for his radio voice on NPR, and he was hired by an ad agency to come up with material for the Motel chain. This is back in, I think, the 80s. And in one session, he ad-libbed the line. You all know it. What's the line? Go ahead. Yeah, we'll keep the light on for you. And I think we've heard that a million times in Motel 6 advertisements. But you know what? Every time I see a Motel 6, I think about that line. So what an effective ad campaign, right? How effective? Because, it's true. You arrive home at night and your house is dark. How awful is that? I mean, there's not even a porch light on. Your light sensing, motion detecting light hasn't worked in years. So you're fumbling with your keys. You're trying to find the lock, and it's like you drop them down behind the stoop. They go down there, and you got to fish them out with a coat hanger. I've never done that before at all, but seriously, coming home to a lighted house is wonderful. You can see, and you're drawn in, and you are welcomed. That's how we need to be for people. People come home to God, come home to Christ, and they see a light on, and they're drawn to that. And we are that. We are that house. We are God's house here on earth. We are that lighthouse that shines that light. Because people need this. And we have candles in our windows upstairs. Have you ever driven by at night and seen them? Well, they're on all year long. And they're on for a reason. And, the candle in the light is a traditional symbol of welcoming. To have a candle on in the window at night. And we have them on all night long up there, all year long. But more than just lighted candles, how about lighted hearts? How about our hearts being lit up? Because people need it. People need hope. God has hope. And people need God. And where are they going to find God? Where are people going to find God? Where are they going to find God? Well, they're going to find God in church, right? People are going to find God in church. How many people are in Gilmanton, Brenda? Do you know?
Oh, I have no idea.
How many people are in Gilmanton? 3,700? Well, I don't know. About 3,700, I think, residents are in Gilmanton. How many people come to our church on Sunday? About 37. We have about 1% of the town of Gilmanton right now. Where's the other 99%? Where's the other 99% of the town of Gilmanton? They're not here. They're out in town. We have to go out to them. We have to go out to these people. And if they're not here, and wonderful yesterday to have a full house for Carl's funeral. And it was a beautiful thing to be able to be part of that and to be part of the ministry of that. And that is wonderful. But otherwise, we have to go out to people. And they're not going to see the light unless we go out to those rocky places in dangerous areas. This is safe in here. This is like calm safety in here. And we can shine the light all we want in here, but is it really, as important? It's important if we're out there in difficult places, in difficult situations where people's lives are real and they're challenged and they're hurting. And if we're out there on the edge of the rocks there and we're shining a light, if people are coming in under a storm in their lives and they see that light, that's when they need to see it. But they're not going to see it unless we're out there. I'd love to pastor a church that is called a church without walls. We have no building. We have no safe place to hide away from the world. We're always out there, and that's all we ever do. Imagine having a church like that. Yeah, I agree. Church that never meets behind closed doors. That sees its identity as always being out in the community. I think we can be a church like that. I think we can be. It just takes people like you and I wanting to shine that light in the places where it really matters. You know, we're going to take lunch up to Isaiah 61 homeless shelter there, probably at the end of the month, and probably once a month. And a bunch of people have signed up for it, and I'm so thankful for that. And I like that, but that's just the beginning. You know, we need to leave the light on. It's like Motel 6. But we need to leave the light on, not upstairs in the building, but in our hearts. We're like that Motel 6, and we go out there, and we're the welcoming, light-on people that people come to, and they say, finally I can see. And then we show them. We show them what the light of Christ is all about. Can you stand with me for our final hymn today? Keep that light shining on in your hearts. Today's our final hymn is part of what we show people when we show them the light. This song is all about that actual light that comes from us. It's called I Know Who Holds Tomorrow. Number 495 in your hymnal today. And sing it from your hearts.